Right now, Americans owe a staggering $18.5 trillion, with over $1.2 trillion just in credit card balances, numbers that keep rising even as most people make their payments every month. The systems trapping millions in debt are not just about overspending. They are engineered to work against you, with tiny minimum payments and hidden incentives that quietly drain your future. If you think you know why debt keeps you trapped, the real math and the psychology used against you tell a different story. The evidence starts with one number you cannot ignore. More than half of American adults now carry credit card debt, according to a 2025 national poll. The average household with a balance owes about $10,563. That money is not just for extras, but often for rent, groceries, or medical bills. Total household debt has climbed to $18.5 trillion, the highest ever recorded. Credit card balances alone reached $1.23 trillion last year, and that number keeps growing. Among people using buy now, pay later loans, nearly a quarter borrowed to cover rent, and more than a third used those loans to pay for other debt or medical care. 1 in 6 Americans has had to borrow just to keep a roof overhead. These figures reveal a country where debt is woven into daily survival, not just a matter of poor choices. For millions, carrying a balance is not about shopping sprees. It is about staying afloat in an economy where bills outpace paychecks. Credit card companies don't just allow debt, they design products that keep balances revolving. Industry language divides cardholders into 2 categories: transactors who pay in full each month, and revolvers who carry a balance and pay interest. Most of the profit comes from revolvers. According to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, major issuers have steadily raised interest margins well above their own borrowing costs, making ongoing balances more lucrative than ever. Minimum payment formulas are set low, often just 1 to 3% of the balance, plus interest. As a result, the bulk of each payment covers interest, not principal. That stretches payoff timelines out for years, even decades, if only minimums are paid. This system isn't accidental. Industry filings and Consumer Financial Protection Bureau research confirm that keeping customers in the revolver category, making small payments and paying lots of interest, is far more profitable than customers who pay cards off every month. The mechanics of the debt trap are built into the payment structure and pricing, not just a side effect of individual choices. A $3,000 credit card balance at 22% interest, using a typical minimum payment formula of 1% of the balance plus monthly interest, starts with a payment of about $90. Nearly 2/3 of that payment goes straight to interest, and it barely touches the principal. As the balance shrinks, payments fall, and the debt lingers. Sticking to minimums, it takes about 18.5 years to pay off the original $3,000 balance. By the end, total payments reach roughly $7,300, with about $4,300 paid in interest alone, which is more than the amount borrowed. Doubling the payment to about $180 each month cuts the payoff time to just over 4 years and reduces total interest to around $1,200. The same starting debt handled 2 different ways. One approach stretches for decades and costs thousands more. The other gets you out in a fraction of the time. This is the math behind why minimum payments keep balances revolving for so long. Behavioral researchers have found that how debt is presented shapes whether people stick to a repayment plan or give up. In a series of experiments, splitting a big balance into smaller, labeled chunks, like separate accounts or milestones, led people to pay down more of what they owed. The brain handles a $5,000 balance differently when it is broken into 5 $1,000 steps, or when each credit card is tracked as its own goal. Partitioning makes progress visible, and each win feel achievable, even when the total amount does not change. In one study, when credit card statements separated everyday expenses from emergencies, people put more money toward the ordinary debt, which felt less acceptable to carry. Another experiment showed that pairing payments with individual past purchases, turning one big bill into a series of micro goals, nudged people to pay more overall. These findings help explain why methods like the debt snowball, which targets the smallest balance first, often work better in the real world than mathematically perfect strategies. Visible wins matter more than abstract savings, especially when motivation is running low. Debt is not just a line on a statement. It weighs on the mind in ways that can be measured. In a controlled study of low-income families, researchers found that closing even a single debt account, regardless of the dollar amount, improved performance on cognitive tests by about a quarter of a standard deviation. That is roughly the same as the mental fog from losing a night of sleep. The same intervention cut reported anxiety by 11% and made people 10% less likely to choose short-term rewards over better long-term options. The effect of erasing just one debt account was as strong as giving a family an extra month of income. Credit file research tells a similar story. As cognitive strain builds, mistakes start to show up in the numbers. People with early memory decline see a 20% jump in delinquency and a drop of 5 to 7 points in their credit scores, often years before a diagnosis. These patterns are not limited to illness. Anyone juggling multiple debts faces a constant background load. Every unpaid bill demands attention, crowds out planning, and nudges decisions toward the urgent instead of the important. The more accounts in play, the heavier the bandwidth tax becomes, and the harder it is to see a way out. The way we pay has changed the way we spend. Research in supermarkets and restaurants shows that when people use credit cards instead of cash, they spend 10 to 20% more on average. The difference isn't just about convenience. It's about how the brain feels each transaction. Handing over cash is immediate and concrete. You see the money leave your hand. Swiping a card or tapping a phone makes the loss feel distant, almost invisible. That gap matters. In one MIT experiment, people bidding for sports tickets with a credit card were willing to pay nearly twice as much as those using cash. The same pattern shows up with digital wallets and tap to pay. The easier it gets, the more likely people are to add small extras or upgrade to pricier options without thinking twice. Buy now, pay later takes this even further, splitting a single purchase into smaller pieces that seem painless in the moment. These payment designs don't just smooth out the checkout, they lower the mental brakes that keep spending in check, nudging balances higher over time. Financial coaches and economists often debate which debt payoff method works best, avalanche or snowball. The avalanche method attacks the highest interest balance first, promising the lowest total interest paid. The snowball method targets the smallest balance, aiming for quick wins that build momentum. Both approaches have their champions, but the choice is not just about math, it is about what keeps people going when motivation runs low. For example, a $10,000 credit card balance at 22% annual percentage rate with a typical minimum payment behaves very differently depending on how you pay. If you only pay the minimum, it can take 17 to 19 years to clear the debt, with about $9,000 to $11,000 paid in interest alone, almost as much as the original balance. The real cost here is the interest compounded over time. Missing payments or adding buy now, pay later plans can stretch the timeline even further, increasing stress and raising the risk of delinquency. That combination makes recovery harder and can lead to late fees, higher rates, and damaged credit. Coaches see more success when people stick to a single rule, whether it is the snowball method's fast wins or the avalanche method's efficiency. What matters most is picking a method you can follow and understanding the real cost of letting debt linger for years. Getting out of the debt cycle starts with a clear, realistic plan. First, list every balance, interest rate, and minimum payment, including credit cards, loans, and buy now, pay later. Seeing the full picture on paper is a powerful shock. It is the foundation for real progress. Next, choose a single repayment method and stick to it. Whether it is snowball for quick wins or avalanche for the lowest interest, consistency matters more than perfection. Stop adding new debt. Pause card use except for absolute essentials paid in full. Build a small emergency buffer as soon as possible, targeting $500 to $1,000. Counselors at the National Foundation for Credit Counseling say even a modest cushion can keep a car repair or medical bill from sending you right back to credit. Automate your payments to avoid late fees and missed steps. For complicated situations, nonprofit counselors offer judgment-free help and can create a step-by-step plan tailored to your situation. Every action, no matter how small, chips away at the cycle. Right now, minimum payments and rising interest rates keep millions locked in cycles that drain more than wallets. They drain futures. The true cost of debt is not just financial. Breaking free means rewriting what normal looks like. The system profits from delay. Change begins the moment you decide not to wait.